Pursuit Force was released alongside Siphon Filter, The Dark Mirror, and Daxter back in 2006. The three games were Sony's proof that the PSP was capable of more than just PlayStation 1 ports with severe load times. Each of these games were meant to highlight gaming on the go, and Pursuit Force most certainly demonstrates that. The game is one of those you can easily pick up and play for a few minutes, or you can devote some serious time into it if you really like it. You take on the role of a rookie cop that has just been accepted into the Pursuit Force, Capital City Police Department's latest unit for taking on the city's increasing crime rate. Your objective is to take out and hunt down the city's worst criminal forces, which just so happen to belong to one of 5 crime syndicates or gangs. The gameplay is broken up into a series of missions ranging from simple escort missions to taking out an armed group of mercenaries. Pursuit Force does everything in its power to keep you moving forward. And as such, you'll have to make use of a wide array of vehicles ranging from boats to cars, motorcycles, and more. For the most part, the vehicle-based missions offer short bursts of fun. You can perform a slew of acrobatic moves while attempting to jump from one vehicle to the next. This is easily executed by pressing the circle button when you're within range of another vehicle. Your character will flail himself out of the car and jump onto the enemy's car. Here, the enemies will try and knock you off their car any way they can, shoot at you, and more, but thankfully you're more than equipped to handle everything they throw at you. Every time you take out an enemy or arrest someone, you're awarded with an increase in your cop meter. When full, this meter allows you to perform a wide array of special moves. For example, you'll be able to fill your health meter or slow down time when you're jumping from one vehicle to the next. It makes it quite interesting. Some of the missions aren't as fun as others though. Boat missions, for example, are just a bit too slow paced compared to car missions. Bike missions are quite cumbersome to control compared to the others, and that is nothing compared to the ground missions. Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Other slight annoyances include weapon changes. You see, every time you take over a new vehicle, you acquire that vehicle's weapon. There's no way to go back and switch to your older weapons, which kinda sucks. Now let's talk about those ground missions, because controlling your character during the ground missions is extremely cumbersome and just poorly executed. It feels sloppy compared to the rest of the game. You can only stand around shooting or hide behind something in the environment. It really doesn't get any deeper than that. Often the best solution is just to run up to an enemy and press the action button like crazy so you can perform the one-hit arrest. If you decide to kill enemies though, you're going to take severe damage. After a while, the game gets repetitive no matter what you do, so I always recommend people play this one in short bursts to keep it fresh. There are a wide assortment of gameplay modes available though, so I kind of recommend checking those out as well if you tire of the main campaign, but be warned because the gameplay in every mode is just a simple variation of the core gameplay. Unfortunately, there are some fairly lengthy load times between missions, and that's kind of annoying considering this game was supposed to be focusing on gaming on the go, and having a 20-second initial boot sort of makes it feel anything but gaming on the go. In terms of its graphical prowess, this is actually a technical achievement on the PSP. The game is blistering fast and gives the player a good sense of speed. The animations are excellent, and there are only a handful of scenes in the whole game where the frame rate dips a little bit. Textures are also impressive for a somewhat early PSP game. In relation, many others at this point in time were quite flat in comparison. The audio is also quite good, featuring a solid soundtrack and great voice acting. Overall, Pursuit Force is a really fun game, but it could have been so much more if they would have just fixed out those ground missions and maybe tweaked the gameplay ever so slightly. If you're interested in trying this game for yourself, you can buy a used copy on UMD for pretty much under $5 these days, or you can go the digital route and pick it up for both the PSP and the Vita for about $15.
statistics, the crime rate in Capital State is higher now than even Detroit.
Not one, but 5 notorious gangs are bringing the
Chief of
state.
Police is forming a new division to clean up gang-related crime.
Today marks the dawn of a new era in crime fighting. We're starting an elite force that'll root out every lowlife, drug-dealing scumbag that works for these gangs. We'll be using the latest hardware, prototype weapons, and special tactics to bring them to justice. The gangs of Capital State are officially on notice. Starting today, we're taking back the streets.
And what should we call this new initiative?
The Pursuit Force.